arrived home from my nursing shift at 3 in the morning to find my apartment door slightly open. Inside, drawers were pulled out, my laptop was gone, and my sister Autumn's spare key sat on the kitchen counter. Heart racing, I checked my phone banking app. Both my checking and savings accounts showed zero balance. $14,000 gone. My emergency fund, my daughter's college savings, everything. A note on the fridge in Autumn's handwriting read, "I'm sorry. I had no choice. Please don't look for me." My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I called Autumn's number once, twice, 5 times. Straight to voicemail every single time. The automated voice felt like a slap across the face with each repetition. I stood there in my scrubs, still smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion, staring at that note until the words blurred together. I had to wake Harper. My 10-year-old daughter was sleeping peacefully in her room, her nightlight casting soft shadows across her face. I tried so hard to keep my voice steady, to not let her see me falling apart, but the moment she opened her eyes and looked at me, I broke. The tears came hot and fast, and I couldn't stop them. Harper sat up immediately, wrapping her small arms around me. "Mom, what happened? What's wrong?" I explained it in the simplest terms I could manage. Aunt Autumn had taken money from us and left. I didn't mention the amount or how devastating it truly was. Harper just held me tighter, her little hands patting my back the way I'd comforted her through nightmares and scraped knees. When the sun finally came up, I forced myself to think practically. I needed to call the police. But every time I reached for the phone, I hesitated. This was Autumn, my baby sister, the girl I'd raised after our mother died when she was just 16. How could I send the police after her? Instead, I checked my credit cards, hoping maybe she'd at least left those alone. My stomach dropped further. 3 cards, every single one maxed out with cash advances. $12,000 in additional debt that I now owed. The interest alone would bury me. I pulled up my laptop's cloud backup and started going through recent activity, trying to understand how this happened. That's when the full picture started to form. Autumn had been living with us for 6 months, ever since she'd lost her job at the retail store. She'd cried on my doorstep, saying she just needed a fresh start, time to get back on her feet. I'd believed her. I'd given her my spare key, my trust, even my debit card PIN for emergencies. She'd had access to everything. My mail, my computer, my personal documents. I'd come home from long shifts to find her cooking dinner, helping Harper with homework, acting like the aunt I'd always wanted her to be. And the whole time, she'd been planning this. I requested security footage from our apartment building's management office. The response came within an hour. The video showed Autumn and a man I'd never seen before loading boxes into a truck 2 days ago. 2 days. While I was at work saving lives, my sister was stealing mine. The man must have been Derek, the boyfriend she'd mentioned casually a few times but never introduced me to. Now I understood why. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't a mistake. This was calculated and planned for weeks, maybe months. By noon, I'd called the bank. The customer service representative spoke in that practiced, sympathetic tone that somehow made everything worse. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but these transfers were authorized. The security questions were answered correctly. We can't reverse them without proof of fraud." "My sister forged the authorization," I said, hearing the desperation in my voice. "You'll need to file a police report for identity theft. Then we can investigate." I hung up and stared at my phone. A police report meant criminal charges. It meant Autumn could go to jail. She was my sister. How could I do that to her? But the reality was settling in like ice water in my veins. Rent was due in 5 days. $1,200 I didn't have. Harper needed school supplies and fees. $200. My car payment was $350, due in a week. I had exactly $43 in tips from work and an empty gas tank. My next paycheck wouldn't come for another week, and it was already budgeted down to the penny for utilities and groceries. I'd been living carefully, saving slowly, building a safety net for Harper's future, and Autumn had torched it all. I thought about our history, How I dropped out of community college to work full-time when Mom died so Autumn could finish high school. How I'd paid for her technical school classes, her car repairs, her security deposits on apartments she'd later abandon. How many times had I bailed her out of bad situations, bad relationships, bad decisions? I'd thought we were past that. I'd thought she was finally growing up, finally getting her life together. I'd been so stupid. While Harper was at school, I went through every piece of paperwork in my desk, trying to figure out what to do next. That's when I found the envelope. Credit card statements for an account I'd never opened. My name, my address, but a card I'd never seen. I opened the first statement with shaking hands. $18,000 in charges over the past 4 months. Luxury handbags from Nordstrom. Jewelry from boutiques I'd never even walked past. Expensive dinners at restaurants I couldn't afford. Hotel stays in cities I'd never visited. All in my name, using my social security number. Autumn had been committing identity theft. This wasn't just stealing from my accounts. This was fraud on a level that could destroy my entire life. I was now liable for $30,000 in total debt I hadn't created. $30,000 I didn't have and couldn't possibly pay back on a nurse's salary while supporting a child alone. I called the police non-emergency line with trembling fingers. The officer who answered listened to my story and then delivered the blow I wasn't ready for. Ma'am, if the charges were made from your home address and you had a relationship with the perpetrator, this becomes complicated. It's technically a civil matter unless you want to press criminal charges for identity theft and fraud. She's my sister, I whispered. I understand that makes it difficult, but without criminal charges, we can't investigate. And if you don't report it, you're liable for all the debt. Those creditors will come after you, and it'll destroy your credit for years. After he hung up, I sat at my kitchen table with my head in my hands. I was paralyzed. If I pressed charges, Autumn would have a criminal record, possibly go to prison. Our relationship would be destroyed forever, but if I didn't, I'd lose everything I'd worked for. I'd lose my financial stability, my ability to provide for Harper, maybe even my apartment. Harper came home from school and found me there, still frozen in indecision. She dropped her backpack and climbed into my lap. Too big for it, really, but I held her anyway. "Mom," she said softly, her face pressed against my shoulder. "Don't worry, I handled it." I barely heard her. My mind was spinning through worst-case scenarios, trying to figure out how to keep a roof over our heads. "Mom?" Harper pulled back to look at me. "Did you hear me?" I said I handled it. "Handled what, sweetie?" I asked absently, still staring at the credit card statement. "Aunt Autumn. The money. I handled it." Something in her tone made me focus. I looked at my daughter properly for the first time since she'd gotten home. She wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. She looked almost calm, with a strange confidence in her eyes that I'd never seen before. "What do you mean you handled it?" I asked slowly. But before she could answer, my phone buzzed with an email from the hospital's HR department. They needed to see me first thing in the morning. Something about irregularities in supply orders and my access credentials. My world was crumbling faster than I could process, and I'd completely missed what Harper had just said. 3 days crawled by in a fog of anxiety and phone calls. I'd made the decision not to press charges against Autumn, at least not yet. I kept hoping she'd call, that she'd come to her senses, that there'd be some explanation that made sense. Instead, I was drowning in the consequences of her actions. I'd spent hours on the phone with creditors, trying to negotiate payment plans for debt I didn't create. Most were understanding until they realized I had no way to pay. The sympathy in their voices would fade, replaced by the mechanical recitation of policy and procedure. My landlord, Mr. Patterson, called on day 4 when the rent still hadn't been paid. He was a decent man, had been patient with me before when I'd been a few days late. But this was different. "Bessie, I'm sorry, but property management is breathing down my neck. I can give you 5 more days, but after that I have to start eviction proceedings. It's not personal, it's just policy." "I understand," I managed to say, though I didn't understand anything anymore. "I'm working on it." But I wasn't working on it. I had no solutions, no way forward. I'd borrowed $200 from my coworker Jessica just to buy groceries for the week, and the shame of asking had burned in my throat. Jessica had been kind about it, pressing the cash into my hand and telling me not to worry. But I saw the question in her eyes. How did this happen to you? The hospital situation was worse than I'd imagined. When I arrived at the HR office that morning, 2 people were waiting for me. The HR director, Margaret, and someone from hospital security. "Bessie, please sit down," Margaret said, her voice carefully neutral. "We've discovered some irregularities in supply orders over the past several months. Orders placed under your credentials for items that never made it to your floor. We need to investigate whether you were involved in theft of hospital property." The room tilted. I would never steal from the hospital. The security officer, whose name tag read Stevens, leaned forward. "The orders were placed using your login from your department's computers during your shifts. Can you explain that?" I couldn't, not in a way that made sense. I tried to explain about Autumn, about the identity theft, about how she'd had access to my computer at home, but it sounded like excuses even to my own ears. "We're placing you on unpaid leave pending the investigation," Margaret said. "I'm sorry, Bessie. Until we sort this out, you can't work here." I walked out of that office in a daze. Unpaid leave meant no income. No income meant no way to catch up on rent, no way to pay the car payment, no way to buy food. I'd gone from barely making it to completely underwater in the span of a week. At home, Harper had been acting strange. She spent hours on my old tablet, the one I'd retired when I bought my laptop. When I asked what she was doing, she'd say she was just playing games or watching videos. But there was something in her expression, a focus and intensity that didn't match casual entertainment. I was too stressed to pay proper attention. Too busy trying to hold the pieces of my life together with shaking hands. I tried everything I could think of. I applied for emergency loans and was denied. My credit score had plummeted with the fraudulent accounts. I called my father, something I hadn't done in over a year. We'd been estranged since he'd remarried and moved to Florida, leaving me to handle Mom's death and Autumn's care alone. "Dad, I need help," I said when he finally answered. "What kind of help?" His voice was wary, distant. I explained everything. The theft, the debt, the eviction notice. I hated how small my voice sounded, how much like a child begging for rescue. "You always were too soft on Autumn," he said. "You enabled her, Bessie, made excuses for her. This is what happens when you don't let people face consequences. I need $5,000, just to get stable. I'll pay you back." I don't have it to give. And even if I did, I wouldn't. "You made your bed with Autumn. You need to lie in it." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding the phone, feeling like that 22-year-old girl again, the one who'd been told to figure it out on her own when Mom died. At least I had one friend left. Marcus, a lawyer I'd met through the hospital, had offered to help with the identity theft case pro bono. We met at a coffee shop I could no longer afford to buy drinks at. He brought legal papers and a grim expression. "Bessie, I'll be straight with you. To clear this debt, you need to file a police report and press charges for identity theft. Without that, you're legally responsible for every dollar Autumn spent in your name. She's my sister. She's a criminal who destroyed your life. If you don't act now, this will follow you for years. You could lose custody of Harper if you can't provide basic necessities. Child Services doesn't care about your reasons. They care about whether your child is safe and cared for." That threat hit harder than anything else. Lose Harper? The thought made my chest constrict until I couldn't breathe. "Think about it," Marcus said gently. "But don't think too long. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to fix." That night, I received an email from the bank's fraud department. My hands shook as I opened it. They'd been investigating the fraudulent credit card, the one Autumn had opened in my name. Their findings made my blood run cold. The charges had been made from my home IP address, from my own internet connection, which meant it looked like I'd been involved, like Autumn and I had conspired together to commit fraud. The bank was now investigating me for potential criminal activity. I could go to prison. Not just lose my job, not just lose my apartment. I could actually be charged with a crime I didn't commit and lose Harper forever. The panic attack hit me so hard I couldn't stand. I sank to the kitchen floor, hyperventilating, my vision tunneling down to a small point of light. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. Harper found me there. My strong, strange, too smart daughter dropped to her knees beside me and wrapped her arms around my shaking shoulders. "Mom, breathe. Just breathe. It's going to be okay." "It's not," I gasped. "Harper, I might go to jail. They think I helped Aunt Autumn. They think I'm a criminal." "You won't go to jail," Harper said with absolute certainty. "Mom, I promise I handled it. Just wait." I pulled back to look at her through my tears. "Harper, what do you mean you handled it? You keep saying that, but I don't understand." She bit her lip, looking torn. "I can't tell you everything yet. But Aunt Autumn is going to call soon. And she's going to be really, really upset." "How do you know that?" "Because," Harper said slowly, choosing her words carefully, "I did something. Something that's going to make her very angry. But Mom, I promise it's going to help us. You just have to trust me." Before I could press her for details, she squeezed my hand. "She's going to call. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. But when she does, just listen. Don't promise her anything. Don't try to fix it for her. Just listen and then we'll talk. Okay?" I didn't understand. None of this made sense. But I nodded anyway because Harper was the only solid thing in my rapidly disintegrating world. The next morning, an eviction notice was taped to my door. 72 hours to vacate the premises. I read it 3 times, hoping the words would change, but they didn't. I had 3 days to find somewhere to live with. No money, no credit, and no prospects. The car was gone. I'd parked it in my assigned spot the night before, and now there was just an empty space with an oil stain. Repossessed. I'd missed the payment, and they'd come in the night to take it. No warning, no second chance. Just gone. I stood in the parking lot in my bathrobe, feeling neighbors' eyes on me. The eviction notice was public now, taped to my door for everyone to see. The missing car was just another mark of my failure. How was I supposed to get Harper to school? How was I supposed to get to job interviews? The bus system in our area was limited, and the routes didn't go near the hospital. Every problem spawned 3 more. A hydra of disasters I couldn't outrun. My phone rang. "Jessica. Hey Bessie, I'm really sorry to ask, but I need that $200 back. My mom's in the hospital and I have to drive upstate. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't an emergency." "Of course," I heard myself say. "I understand." But I didn't have it. I'd spent it on groceries and Harper's school supplies. I had maybe $60 left from my tip money, and that was supposed to last us until I figured out what came next. "Can you Venmo it to me today?" Jessica asked. "I'll try," I said, knowing I couldn't. After we hung up, I realized another friendship was crumbling. When I couldn't pay her back, Jessica would know I'd spent money I couldn't replace. She'd feel used. And I couldn't even blame her. The call from the hospital came at noon. Margaret from HR, her voice stiff and formal. "Bessie, we've expanded our investigation. We found irregularities in your access logs from 6 months ago. It appears someone used your credentials to access medical records and supply systems multiple times during hours you weren't scheduled to work. 6 months ago, right when Autumn had moved in." My stomach twisted as I remembered. She'd asked to use my hospital login once, just once, to check her own medical records online. She'd said the patient portal wasn't working, and she needed to see her test results. I'd given her my username and password without thinking twice. "I can explain," I started, but Margaret cut me off. "We need you to come in tomorrow with any documentation you have regarding this situation. Bring your lawyer if you have one." This was escalating beyond unpaid leave. They were building a case against me. If they pressed charges, I'd lose my nursing license. I'd never work in healthcare again. I couldn't afford to bring Marcus. Pro bono only went so far and his time was valuable. I was on my own. Harper was at school. I had the apartment to myself and no idea how to fix any of this. I sat on the couch, numb, staring at the walls I'd soon lose. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? What did you do? Autumn's voice, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. What did your daughter do to me? My heart jumped. Autumn? Where are you? What are you talking about? Don't play stupid. She was hysterical, her words tumbling over each other. That little brat hacked us. She destroyed everything. What did you tell her to do? I didn't tell her anything. Autumn, you stole from me. You ruined my life. You don't get to be angry. You need to fix this, she shrieked. You need to call her off. You need to undo whatever she did. I don't know what you're talking about. Autumn, where's the money? I need that money back. I'm being evicted. I lost my job. They think I helped you commit fraud. The money is gone. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Your daughter took it. She hacked into our accounts and took everything. I couldn't process this. Harper was 10 years old. She played games on a tablet and did homework. How could she hack anything? That's impossible, I said. Ask her, Autumn screamed. Ask her what she did. And then fix it, Bessie, or Derek is going to come back there. He's not going to be nice about this. You don't understand what kind of people we're dealing with. Then tell me, explain what's going on. If you don't fix this in 24 hours, you're going to regret it. Derek has friends, dangerous friends. And they're going to come looking for that money. The line went dead. I sat there shaking, trying to understand what had just happened. Autumn had threatened me, actually threatened me, and she'd mentioned Derek's dangerous friends. What had my sister gotten involved in? I couldn't wait until Harper got out of school. I drove. No, I couldn't drive. I took the bus across town, transferred twice, and arrived at Harper's elementary school 45 minutes later. I checked her out early, telling the secretary it was a family emergency. It was. We took another bus to the public library, finding a quiet corner near the back. I pulled Harper into a chair across from me, trying to keep my voice calm. Harper, I need you to tell me the truth. What did you do? She looked scared for the first time since this started. Mom, I was trying to help. I know, baby, but Autumn just called. She's very angry and she's saying you hacked into her accounts. Is that true? Harper's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. I tracked them, Mom. I tracked Aunt Autumn and Derek. And I took back what's ours. Plus a little extra. My mind was reeling. How? Harper, you're 10 years old. How do you even know how to hack? I've been teaching myself, she said quietly. For like 2 years. There are tutorials online, forums where people teach each other. I got really good at it. I didn't tell you because I didn't think you'd understand. 2 years. My daughter had been secretly learning advanced computer skills for 2 years, and I'd never noticed. Show me, I said. Show me everything. She pulled out the old tablet, her fingers flying across the screen. When I saw what Aunt Autumn did, I used the tablet to trace the transfers. She didn't cover her tracks very well. I found digital breadcrumbs that led me to an online banking account she'd set up. Harper. Then I used social engineering, she continued. I pretended to be from bank security and called Derek's phone number. I got him to verify information that gave me access to their accounts. I stared at my daughter in shock. She was describing crimes, multiple crimes. Harper, that's illegal. So is stealing, she said firmly. Mom, I wasn't going to just let them get away with it. What did you do with the money? I moved it all to a cryptocurrency wallet. Bitcoin. Then I moved it through several exchanges to make it untraceable. I have it secured where Aunt Autumn and Derek can't access it anymore. Cryptocurrency. My 10-year-old daughter had moved stolen money into cryptocurrency. But Mom, there's something else. Harper's voice dropped. When I was in their accounts, I found other stuff. Email conversations, bank records. Aunt Autumn and Derek didn't just steal from us. They stole from other people too. A lot of other people. What do you mean? They're part of a ring, like an identity theft ring. Derek has connections to these really scary people, loan sharks he owes money to. The money Aunt Autumn took from us was supposed to pay off Derek's debts. He's into these people for like $80,000. My blood turned to ice. Harper, how much did you take? All of it. $37,000 total. They had it all in one account, probably collecting it from different victims. 37,000? Including our 14,000. The rest was from other people they scammed. I couldn't breathe. Harper had stolen money from people connected to loan sharks, violent criminals. And those criminals now knew the money was gone. Derek's creditors are probably already looking for him, Harper said. And if Aunt Autumn told them about me? She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. We need to go to the police, I said. Right now. But Mom, I broke the law too. They might arrest me. They might take me away from you. She was right. My daughter had committed computer crimes to recover stolen money. Even with good intentions, she could face serious consequences. And I could lose her to child services for involving her in this mess. There's another problem, Harper said quietly. The cryptocurrency wallet needs a passphrase to access it. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. Okay. So where's the paper? At home, in my room, hidden in a book. I thought about our apartment, which we'd have to leave in 3 days. We'll get it when we go back. Mom, there's something you need to understand. That money isn't just ours. There are other victims who need it back. If we keep it all, we're not any better than Aunt Autumn. She was right, but I needed that $14,000. I needed it desperately. My moral compass and my survival instincts were at war. We took the bus back home as the sun was setting. I couldn't stop looking over my shoulder, expecting to see threatening figures following us. Every stranger was a potential danger now. The apartment building was quiet. We climbed the stairs to our floor and I fumbled with my keys, my hands shaking too badly to fit the key in the lock smoothly. Inside, everything seemed normal. We went straight to Harper's room. She pulled a book off her shelf, a thick fantasy novel she'd read 3 times. The paper was tucked between pages 200 and 201. 24 words in a specific sequence. The only thing standing between us and the money that could save us. Let's go, I said. We need to leave. We'll stay at a motel tonight, somewhere Derek can't find us. We were halfway to the front door when it happened. A hand grabbed my shoulder and spun me around. I screamed, pushing Harper behind me. Derek stood there, and he looked nothing like the charming boyfriend Autumn had described. He was disheveled, unshaven, his eyes wild with desperation. He had a baseball bat in his hand. Give me the wallet codes, he said, right now, or I'll make you regret everything. Harper was crying behind me. I kept myself between them, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. Derek, please, we can work this out. The codes, he screamed, raising the bat. Where are they? Sudden loud banging on the door made us all freeze. Police, open up. Derek's face went white. He looked at the door, then at me, then at the window. For a moment, I thought he might actually try to fight his way out. The door burst open. Police officers poured in, shouting commands. Derek dropped the bat and put his hands up, but not before one officer tackled him to the ground. Handcuffs clicked. Rights were read. Harper was sobbing into my side. A female detective approached us. I'm Detective Sarah Brennan. Are you both okay? I nodded, unable to speak. We've been watching your building. Anonymous tip that there might be trouble here tonight. Looks like we arrived just in time. They took Derek away in handcuffs. Another officer stayed to take our statements. But when Detective Brennan asked us to come down to the station to answer more questions, I felt a new kind of fear settle in. We weren't just victims anymore. We were witnesses. And possibly suspects in whatever larger investigation was happening. The police station at night felt like a different world. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a harsh glow. Detective Brennan had separated us. Harper was in a room with a child advocate, and I was in an interview room with metal furniture bolted to the floor. They'd brought me water I couldn't drink. My throat was tight, my hands still shaking. Detective Brennan sat across from me with a folder full of papers. Miss Reynolds, I need you to walk me through everything that's happened over the past week. So I told her. All of it. The theft, the identity fraud, the credit cards, the threats. I tried to keep my voice steady, but every few minutes it would crack and I'd have to start again. She listened without interrupting, taking notes. When I finished, she opened her folder. We've been investigating an identity theft ring operating across 3 states. Your sister Autumn and Derek Williams have been on our radar for about 2 months now. What you're describing fits their pattern. There's more, I said. My daughter. She did something. She tracked them and moved the money. We know. That's actually what triggered the anonymous tip that brought us to your apartment tonight. Someone was watching this situation unfold and wanted us to intervene before anyone got hurt. Who? We don't know yet. But they've been helpful. Detective Brennan leaned forward. Here's where we are, Miss Reynolds. We have evidence that Derek and Autumn committed multiple counts of identity theft and fraud. Derek's also facing charges for breaking and entering an assault, based on tonight. But there's a problem. My stomach dropped. What problem? The evidence we have also suggests you might have been involved. What? No, I'm the victim here. She pulled out printed pages. My work access logs from the hospital, IP addresses, email exchanges I'd never written. These paint a different picture. It looks like you and Autumn planned this together. The thefts originated from your home internet connection. Your hospital credentials were used to facilitate some of the fraud. Your daughter, a minor, was involved in computer crimes. I didn't do any of this. Autumn had my passwords. She lived with me. She had access to everything. That's what you say. But Derek Williams is currently telling my colleagues that you were the mastermind, that Autumn was coerced by you, that you used your daughter to make it look like you were innocent. The room tilted. That's a lie. Maybe, but without evidence to the contrary, this looks bad for you. There was a knock at the door. Another detective poked his head in, called Detective Brennan out. I sat there alone, listening to muffled voices in the hallway. When she came back, her expression was grim. We've located Autumn. She's in custody in Pennsylvania, and she's corroborating Derek's story. What? She's claiming you forced her to participate in the thefts. That you threatened her, controlled her, used your position as her older sister to manipulate her. She's saying everything was your idea. I couldn't breathe. My own sister was lying, throwing me under the bus to save herself. After everything I'd done for her, everything I'd sacrificed, she was trying to send me to prison. Why would she say that? Because she's facing serious charges, and Derek offered her a deal. If they both testify against you, the prosecutor might reduce their sentences. They're both claiming coercion, diminished capacity, whatever they think will stick. But it's not true. None of it's true. Then we need to prove it. Detective Brennan pulled out more papers. Your daughter's testimony could help. She has information about their activities that doesn't fit with you being the mastermind. But what? Social Services has been contacted. Linda Morrison, a caseworker, is here. She's concerned about Harper's involvement in all this. The computer crimes, the exposure to dangerous criminals. She's recommending emergency foster placement. No! I stood up so fast my chair scraped across the floor. You can't take my daughter. None of this is her fault. She was trying to help me. Miss Reynolds, please sit down. I understand this is difficult, but we have protocols. A minor was involved in illegal activities, even if her intentions were good. She was exposed to violent criminals. Miss Morrison has to consider Harper's safety. I'll keep her safe, please. She's all I have. But even as I said it, I knew how it sounded. I couldn't even keep her safe in our own apartment. I'd lost my job, my home, my car. On paper, I looked like exactly the kind of parent who couldn't provide adequate care. They let me see Harper before they took her. She was in a conference room with Linda Morrison, a thin woman with gray hair and a clipboard that might as well have been a weapon. Harper ran to me, and I held her as tight as I could. Mom, I told them everything. I showed them the tablet, the evidence. They know you didn't do anything wrong. I know, baby. You did great. Miss Reynolds, Linda Morrison said, her voice clipped and professional. I've made the decision to place Harper in emergency foster care for 72 hours while this investigation continues. It's in her best interest. It's not in her best interest to take her away from her mother. You've created an unsafe environment. Your daughter was involved in computer crimes. She was nearly assaulted by a violent criminal in your home. I have a duty to protect her. I was protecting her by involving her in criminal activities? By keeping her in a home that was targeted by dangerous people? Linda Morrison's face was cold. Miss Reynolds, I don't doubt you love your daughter, but love isn't enough. She needs stability and safety, neither of which you can currently provide. They took Harper away while I screamed and cried and begged. She looked back at me with tears streaming down her face, calling for me, and I couldn't do anything. Detective Brennan had to physically stop me from following them. Miss Reynolds, you're not under arrest. You're free to go, but you need to let us do our job. If you're innocent, we'll prove it. How? My sister is lying about me. Derek is lying about me. Everything looks like I'm guilty. We'll keep investigating. In the meantime, go home, get some rest. We'll be in touch. But I couldn't go home. The eviction was still in effect. I had nowhere to go. No money. No child. I'd lost everything. I walked out of the police station into the cold night air. My phone buzzed. Jessica, probably asking about the money again. I couldn't face that conversation. Instead, I walked. I walked for hours through neighborhoods I barely recognized, trying to figure out how to survive this. Eventually, I found myself at a cheap motel on the edge of town, the kind of place with weekly rates and no questions asked. I counted my cash. $60 left. The room was $45 a night. I paid for one night and tried not to think about what I'd do tomorrow. The room smelled like cigarettes and defeat. I lay on the thin mattress, staring at the water stains on the ceiling, and wondered how my life had fallen apart so completely. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Miss Reynolds? This is Jessica Thompson from the hospital. Not my coworker Jessica. Different Jessica. From HR. Yes? I wanted to let you know that we completed our investigation into the supply theft. We found evidence that your credentials were stolen and used remotely. The IP addresses don't match your work patterns. We're clearing you of all charges and reinstating you with back pay. I sat up. What? We found digital evidence that someone else used your login information. We're sorry for the stress this caused. Your back pay will be deposited within 3 business days. $7,000. $7,000. It wasn't enough to fix everything, but it was something. It was air when I'd been drowning. Thank you, I managed to say. After she hung up, I let myself cry, not from sadness this time, but from relief. One problem solved. But I still had so many more. I needed Harper back. That was the only thing that mattered now. The next morning, I used some of my last money to buy a bus ticket across town. I had an appointment with Detective Brennan. She'd called and asked me to come in, said she had questions about my relationship with Autumn growing up. When I arrived, she had someone with her. A man, early 30s, sitting in the corner of her office. Miss Reynolds, this is Travis Caldwell. He's been instrumental in our investigation. Travis stood and shook my hand. He looked tired, like someone who'd been chasing shadows for a long time. I'm sorry we're meeting like this, he said, but I'm glad we're finally getting somewhere. I don't understand. Travis was the one who sent the anonymous tip, Detective Brennan explained. He's been tracking Autumn and Derek for 2 years. Travis's jaw tightened. They destroyed my life. Stole $65,000 from me, ruined my credit. Framed me for crimes I didn't commit. I've been following their trail ever since. You're the one who sent the security footage, I realized. He nodded. I was staying at the same motel. I recognized Autumn. I've been documenting everything they do, waiting for enough evidence to bring them down. When I saw you were involved, I started watching your situation. That's when I realized you weren't a perpetrator. You were another victim. Harper's evidence changes everything, Detective Brennan said. We've been able to trace the cryptocurrency transactions, and they support your story. Derek and Autumn's statements have inconsistencies that don't hold up. We're close to getting this right. But Harper is still in foster care, I said. We're working on that. The fact that the hospital cleared you helps, Miss Morrison has agreed to review the placement decision in light of new information. Travis handed me a folder. I documented everything. 9 different victims across 3 states. Over $200,000 stolen. Autumn and Derek are going down for this. And you're going to get your life back. For the first time in days, I felt a small flicker of hope. But that hope died when my phone rang an hour later. Travis's number. "They're out," he said, his voice tight with panic. "Derek and Autumn. Someone posted bail. And Derek just told his associates about Harper." "What?" "He's telling them Harper has access to money that can pay his debts. You need to disappear. Now." These aren't people who care about legal proceedings. They're going to come for your daughter. The world narrowed to a single point of terror. Harper's in foster care. They can't get to her there, can't they? Do you know where she is? Do you know how secure that placement is? I didn't. I had no idea where my daughter was sleeping tonight. Who was watching her? How safe she really was. What do I do? Get her. Get her somewhere safe. And then we end this. We use the money as bait, set a trap, and finish this once and for all. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was possibly illegal. But Harper was my daughter, and I would do anything to keep her safe. "Tell me what to do," I said. The next 12 hours were a blur of phone calls and negotiations. Linda Morrison didn't want to release Harper back to me, but Detective Brennan vouched for my innocence. The hospital's clearance helped. The fact that I now had money coming and could prove I wasn't a criminal made the difference. They brought Harper to the police station instead of back to me directly. Safety protocol. She ran to me the moment she saw me, and I held her like I'd never let go. "Mom, I was so scared." "I know, baby. Me too. But we're together now." Travis was there, along with Detective Brennan and 2 other officers. They laid out the plan. "Derek owes money to some very dangerous people," Travis explained. "Loan sharks who don't care about the law. They want their $80,000, and Derek told them Harper has access to money that could cover it." "But we don't have 80,000, I said. "The cryptocurrency wallet has 37,000. "They don't know that. We're going to let them think Harper can access a much larger sum. We'll set up a meeting at a controlled location. Police will be waiting." "You want to use my daughter as bait," I said flatly. "We want to catch the people who've been terrorizing multiple victims," Detective Brennan corrected. "And we need them to show up in person to make arrests stick. This is the best way to do it." Harper spoke up. "Mom, I want to do it. These people hurt us. They hurt other families. If we can stop them, we should." She sounded so much older than 10. I wanted to protect her from all of this, but she was right. We couldn't run forever. "What's the plan?" I asked. They walked us through it. We'd spread information on certain online forums that Harper would be unlocking a cryptocurrency wallet at a specific warehouse. Travis had contacts who could make it look legitimate. Derek's associates monitored those forums. They'd show up looking for the money. Meanwhile, Autumn had agreed to cooperate. After a night in a cell, facing serious charges, she'd realized Derek had been using her. She'd wear a wire, contact Derek's creditors directly, and offer to bring them to the money. "What about Derek?" I asked. "He'll be there too. He's out on bail but desperate. His family's money is gone. His associates are pressuring him. He'll come." We spent the rest of the day preparing. Travis set up a laptop that looked like it was accessing the cryptocurrency wallet. The warehouse they'd chosen was in an industrial area, easy to surround with police. Harper practiced acting nervous, scared, like a kid in over her head. It felt wrong, using her this way. But she was adamant. That evening, my phone rang. "Autumn." I almost didn't answer, but Detective Brennan nodded. "Hello? Bessie." Autumn's voice was small, broken. "I'm so sorry. For everything. Autumn, I can't. I know you can't forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But please, can we talk? Face to face? Are you wearing a wire right now?" Silence. Then, yes. "But that doesn't make this less real. Derek manipulated me. I let him. I made terrible choices. I hurt you, and I put Harper in danger. I can't undo any of that. You stole from me. You framed me. You testified against me. I was scared. Derek told me if I didn't back him up, his associates would come after me. He said they'd hurt me, maybe kill me. I thought if I blamed you, we'd both get light sentences and I could disappear after. I didn't think it through. I was just terrified. You should have been. You should have been terrified of what you did to your own sister. She started crying. I know, I destroyed everything. Our relationship, your life, your trust. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just need you to know I'm trying to make it right. Tomorrow, I'm going to help catch these people, and then I'm going to face whatever consequences come. Good, I said, and meant it. Can I ask you something? What? After this is over, will you tell Harper I'm sorry? I know she probably hates me, but I want her to know her aunt loved her, even though I didn't show it. I'll tell her, I said. But Autumn, after this, you're not part of our lives anymore. You're Harper's aunt by blood, but you're not family. Family doesn't do what you did. I understand. Her voice broke completely. Goodbye, Bessie. She hung up. I stood there, feeling empty. That was probably the last real conversation I'd ever have with my sister. The next day arrived too quickly. We drove to the warehouse in an unmarked police van. Harper held my hand the whole way, her palm sweaty against mine. Mom, what if something goes wrong? Nothing's going to go wrong. Detective Brennan has officers everywhere. We're going to be safe. But I didn't feel safe. I felt like I was walking into a nightmare. The warehouse was cavernous and dark. They'd set up a table with the laptop in the middle of the floor. Overhead lights created a bright circle, leaving the rest in shadow. I knew police were hidden in those shadows, but I couldn't see them. Travis positioned Harper at the laptop. Just pretend to type. Make it look like you're accessing the wallet. Don't actually do anything. Harper nodded, her hands shaking. I stood beside her, trying to look calm. Travis stayed back with the police. We waited. 5 minutes. 10, 15. Then the door opened. Derek walked in with 3 men. They were exactly what I'd expected. Big, dangerous, with faces that said they'd done worse than threaten people for money. Derek looked small next to them, scared despite his bravado. That's her, Derek said, pointing at Harper. The kid who hacked us. The biggest man stepped forward. You have our money, little girl? Harper didn't look up. Her fingers moved across the keyboard like she was typing. I'm unlocking it now. But it's complicated. It takes time. How much time? Maybe 10 minutes. He grunted. Make it 5. Another man circled around us, studying the setup. This looks fake. Boss, I think this is a trap. My heart stopped. It's not fake, I said quickly. My daughter really did steal the money. She's really giving it back. We just want this to be over. Where's Autumn? The boss asked Derek. She's supposed to be here, Derek said, checking his phone. She said she was coming. Right on cue, the door opened again. Autumn walked in, looking terrified but determined. She was wearing the wire, though none of them knew it. I'm here, she said. The money's real. Just let them give it to you. And leave us alone. The boss studied her, then me, then Harper. Something's not right. That's when everything went wrong. One of the men pulled a gun. This is a setup. I can feel it. Police, drop your weapons. Officers poured out of the shadows. The warehouse exploded with shouting, movement, chaos. The man with the gun grabbed Harper, pulling her against his chest. Everyone back off or the kid dies. I screamed. Derek tried to run and got tackled. The other 2 men were on the ground with guns pointed at them. But the boss still had Harper, his weapon pressed against her head. Let me walk out of here or I'll do it. I swear I'll do it. You're surrounded, Detective Brennan called out. There's no way out. Let the girl go. She's my way out. Harper was crying silently, her eyes locked on mine. I could see her terror, her regret that she'd agreed to this plan. Travis stepped into the light, hands raised. Take me instead. She's a child. I'm the one who's been tracking you. I'm the one who set this up. Take me. Travis, no, I breathed. But the boss was considering it. His eyes flicked between Travis and Harper, calculating. In that split second of distraction, Harper did something I'll never forget. She drove her elbow back into his stomach, just like I'd taught her in a self-defense class years ago. He grunted, his grip loosening just slightly. Police rushed forward. Gunfire. Screaming. I dove toward Harper, pulling her down as chaos erupted above us. When the noise stopped, all 3 men were on the ground, arrested. Derek was in handcuffs, sobbing. Autumn was against the wall, hands over her mouth, shaking. And Harper was in my arms, safe. I got you, I whispered. I got you, baby. Detective Brennan helped us up. Everyone okay? We were. Somehow, miraculously, we were. They took Derek and his associates away. Autumn went too, back into custody. She looked at me once before they put her in the police car. I didn't look away. This was the consequence of her choices. In the police van on the way back, Harper finally broke down. All the fear she'd been holding in came out in wrenching sobs. I held her, rocking her, promising over and over that it was over. They're all going to jail, Detective Brennan assured us. Derek, his associates, the whole ring. Thanks to Harper's evidence and today's operation, we've got everything we need. What about the money? Travis asked. The cryptocurrency will be liquidated and distributed to the victims. Bessie will get her $14,000 back. The rest will go to the others Derek and Autumn scammed. How long until Autumn gets out? I asked. She's cooperated, so probably 3 years with possibility of parole. Derek's looking at 8 to 10, no parole eligibility, 3 years. My sister would be in prison for 3 years. Part of me felt guilty for the relief I felt. Part of me felt nothing at all. What about me? Harper asked quietly. Will I get in trouble for hacking? Detective Brennan shook her head. The prosecutor has decided not to file charges given your age and the circumstances. But Harper, don't do it again. Next time, you might not be so lucky. I won't, Harper promised. I promise. We went to a hotel that night, paid for by the police department's Victim Assistance Fund. A nice hotel with clean sheets and a real breakfast in the morning. Harper fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted. I sat by the window, watching the city lights, and finally let myself feel everything. The terror, the betrayal, the relief, the anger, all of it. My phone buzzed. An email from the bank. My back pay from the hospital had been deposited. $7,000 showed up in my account. And a text from Marcus, my lawyer friend. Heard you came out on top. Proud of you. Let's celebrate when things calm down. Tomorrow, I'd start rebuilding. I'd find a new apartment. I'd return to work. I'd start therapy for Harper and for me. But tonight, I just watched my daughter sleep and thanked whoever was listening that we'd survived. The next morning, everything felt different. Lighter somehow. We had breakfast in the hotel restaurant, and Harper actually smiled at me. A real smile, not the brave face she'd been wearing. Mom, can I ask you something? Anything, baby. Are you mad at me? For hacking into their accounts? I thought about it. No. I'm scared of how much danger it put you in, and I wish you'd told me what you were doing. But mad? No. You were trying to help, and in the end, you saved us. She nodded, pushing her eggs around her plate. I think I want to learn about cybersecurity. Like, the legal kind. Helping people protect themselves instead of breaking into things. I think that's a great idea. Detective Brennan called at noon. The charges against Derek and his associates were being finalized. Everyone involved would be prosecuted. The cryptocurrency had been seized, and the distribution to victims would begin within 60 days. You'll get your $14,000 back, she assured me. Along with compensation for the fraudulent credit card charges, the other victims will get their money too. What about Travis? I asked. He'll get his $65,000. He's been waiting a long time for justice. You should talk to him, by the way. He wants to help. Travis met us at a coffee shop that afternoon. He looked different somehow. Less haunted, more hopeful. I spent 2 years consumed by what they did to me, he said. Following them, documenting everything, ignoring my own life. It wasn't healthy. But I don't regret it. Because it led to this. They're finally facing consequences. Thank you, I said. For everything. For the footage, for helping Harper, for being there. I wanted to ask you both something. He looked at Harper. I work in cybersecurity, ethical hacking, helping companies find vulnerabilities before criminals do. What you did, Harper, your skills are remarkable. Would you be interested in learning more? I could mentor you. Harper's eyes lit up. Really? Really, but only if your mom agrees, and only the legal stuff. No more hacking into accounts, even bad guys' accounts. Deal? Deal, Harper said immediately. I agreed too. Harper needed positive outlets for her abilities, and Travis seemed like a good person who understood what she'd been through. My phone rang. Hospital HR. My reinstatement was official. They wanted me back on Monday. Same position, same floor, with a raise to compensate for the ordeal. Things were falling into place faster than I dared hope. We moved into a new apartment 3 days later. It was smaller than our old place, in a quieter neighborhood farther from the hospital. I'd used part of my back pay for first month's rent and deposit. The rest went into a new savings account at a different bank, one Autumn had never touched. The landlord was a kind older woman named Patricia. When I explained why we needed to move in immediately, why our credit was damaged, she'd looked at Harper and then at me. Everyone deserves a second chance, she'd said. Or in your case, a chance to start over after someone else's mistakes. The apartment's yours. Harper loved her new room. It had a window seat where she could curl up with books. We spent a weekend painting the walls a soft blue she'd chosen. Normal activities. Normal life. But normal didn't last long. 3 days of peace. That's all we got. Travis called on the 4th day, his voice tight with panic. Bessie? Derek skipped bail. My blood went cold. What? He was out on bail until the trial. His family posted it. But he didn't show up for his court date this morning. There's a warrant out for his arrest. Where is he? That's the problem. Nobody knows. But I've been monitoring his associates' communications. Word on the street is Derek told them about Harper. Told them she still has access to money that could pay his debts. But she doesn't. The police seized it. They don't know that, or they don't care. Bessie, these are professionals. Violent people who've done worse than threaten children. You need to disappear. Now. I looked at Harper, who was doing homework at the kitchen table, completely unaware that our brief peace was over. For how long? Until they catch Derek, or until his associates get the message that there's no money. Could be days, could be weeks. I couldn't live like that, running, hiding, always looking over my shoulder, and I couldn't put Harper through it either. There has to be another way. There is, Travis said slowly, but it's dangerous. We set a trap. Make them think Harper can access the money. Bait them into showing up. Police arrest them. We already did that. It almost got Harper killed. Last time we were dealing with low-level enforcers. This time it'll be better planned. More backup. Controlled environment. No, I'm not using my daughter as bait again. Then you're running. Tonight. Maybe for months. I felt the walls closing in. Either option put Harper in danger. But running meant constant fear, looking over our shoulders, never settling. Maybe homeschooling because she couldn't safely go to school. That wasn't a life. Let me think about it, I said. That night, I explained everything to Harper. She deserved to know the truth. She listened carefully, her face serious. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Mom, we can't run forever. You said we're not victims anymore. If we run, we're still letting them control us. Baby, you're 10 years old. This isn't your burden. It is, though. I'm the one who got into their accounts. I'm the one they're after. So I should get a say in how we handle it. She was right, and I hated that she was right. If we do this, it has to be completely safe. More police, better location, no chances. Okay, she agreed. I called Travis back. We're in, but on my terms. We spent 2 days planning. Detective Brennan coordinated with her department. They'd use an abandoned warehouse again, but this time with twice as many officers. Snipers on the roof. Undercover agents inside. No room for error. Travis helped set up the online bait. Information leaked to the right forums, the ones Derek's associates monitored. Harper would unlock the cryptocurrency wallet at a specific time and location. Big score. Final chance. Meanwhile, Autumn was still cooperating from jail. She made another call, this time recorded and authorized by the prosecutor. She contacted Derek's main creditor, a man known only as Novak. "I can bring you to the money," she told him. "But you have to promise to leave my sister and niece alone after. Bring us the money, and we'll forget they exist." Novak's voice came through the recording. Cold, flat, absolutely convincing in its insincerity. But it got him on tape making threats, promising to harm us if he didn't get paid. More charges to add to the pile. The night before the operation, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, listening to Harper breathe in the next room, wondering if I was making the worst mistake of my life. My phone lit up, a text from Travis. Second thoughts? Constant thoughts. All of them second-guessing. "We've done everything possible to keep her safe. 20 officers. Tactical team. She'll be surrounded. What if it's not enough? Then I'll personally put myself between her and danger. I promise." I believed him. After everything Travis had been through, the 2 years he'd spent tracking these criminals, he understood what was at stake. "Thank you," I texted back. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow we end this." But I didn't sleep. I watched the clock tick toward dawn, toward the moment that would either free us or destroy us. At breakfast, Harper was quiet. She picked at her cereal, not eating. "Having second thoughts too?" I asked gently. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Last time, that man had a gun to my head." "What if that happens again? Then I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe." "Harper, we don't have to do this. We can pack up right now and leave town." She shook her head. "No, you were right before. Running isn't living. Let's finish this." We drove to the warehouse in Travis's car this time. He'd insisted on being with us every step. Detective Brennan was already there, coordinating with her team. "We've got eyes on every entrance," she explained. "The moment anyone enters the building, we'll know. Harper will be at the laptop. Bessie, you'll be beside her. Travis and I will be in the background." 20 officers are hidden throughout the building. Snipers on 3 adjacent roofs. Tactical team ready to deploy. "What about Derek?" I asked. "We have people watching his last known locations. If he shows up, we'll be ready." The warehouse was even more intimidating in daylight. Exposed beams crisscrossed overhead. Broken windows let in shafts of dusty light. The laptop sat on a metal table in the center of the open floor. They'd set up better this time. Hidden cameras everywhere. Recording equipment. Multiple escape routes for Harper if needed. We took our positions. Harper at the laptop, me standing beside her with my hand on her shoulder. Travis and Detective Brennan a few feet back. The rest of the officers invisible in the shadows. And then we waited. 1 hour, 2 hours. "Maybe they're not coming," I whispered hopefully. Detective Brennan's radio crackled. Movement at the east entrance. 3 vehicles. Multiple occupants. My heart began to race. "Everyone stay calm," Detective Brennan said quietly. "Let them enter. Let them commit to the crime. Then we move." The door opened. Novak entered first. He was exactly what I'd pictured. Middle-aged, unremarkable, with eyes that held no warmth or mercy. Behind him came 4 other men, all armed, all dangerous. And with them, looking terrified and defeated, was Derek. "There's the kid," Novak said, his voice carrying across the empty space. "And there's the money." Harper's hands shook on the keyboard. She wasn't typing anything real, just making it look like she was accessing files. "How much is in the wallet?" Novak asked. 80,000, Harper said, her voice small. "That's what you want, right? 80,000? That'll do. Transfer it now. It takes a few minutes." "The security is complicated." Novak studied her. Then me. Then the setup. "This looks familiar. Like that trap last week." "It's not a trap," I said quickly. "We just want this over. Take the money and leave us alone." "Where's Autumn?" "Jail," Derek spat. "She's useless now. Turned on me. You told me she'd cooperate." "I thought she would. She changed her mind." Novak turned those cold eyes on Derek. "You've been nothing but problems." Lost the money. Got arrested. Skipped bail. Now you're dragging me into whatever this is. This is real, Derek insisted. The kid's actually accessing the money. Look at the screen. One of Novak's men circled around the table to look at the laptop. He studied it for a long moment. Boss, this could be real. The wallet address checks out. Novak relaxed slightly. How much longer? 2 minutes, Harper said. Those 2 minutes stretched like hours. I could feel the police in the shadows, ready to move. Could feel the tension building like a storm about to break. Harper hit a final key. It's done. The money's transferred. Show me. She turned the laptop so Novak could see the screen. Whatever Travis had set up, it looked convincing enough. Novak nodded. Good. Now we can settle accounts with Derek and disappear. Wait, Derek said. You're getting your money. We're square. We're not square. You cost me time, exposed me to police, made me come here in person. That's worth more than money. He pulled a gun. Police, drop your weapons. The warehouse erupted. Officers poured out of hiding. Novak's men drew their guns. Harper screamed. I grabbed her, pulling her down as gunfire exploded above us. Travis threw himself over us, shielding us with his body. Bullets sparked off metal. Men shouted. Someone was screaming. And then, silence. I looked up cautiously. Novak and his men were on the ground, disarmed, officers on top of them. Derek was against a wall, hands on his head, sobbing. Everyone okay? Detective Brennan called. Miraculously, no one was hurt. The tactical team had moved too fast, too efficiently. The criminals hadn't had time to aim, let alone shoot accurately. Harper was shaking in my arms. Is it over? Is it really over? It's over, Travis said, helping us stand. They're all going away for a long time. They arrested all 6 men. Derek was charged with bail jumping on top of everything else. Novak and his associates faced charges of extortion, assault, weapons violations, and attempted murder of a police officer. In the police van afterward, Detective Brennan handed me a bottle of water. You did great, both of you. I never want to do that again, Harper said. You won't have to. These people are done. Derek's looking at 8 years minimum, probably more with the new charges. Novak and his crew are looking at 20 to life. You're safe now. What about Autumn? I asked. She's cooperated fully. Her lawyer is working on a plea deal. Probably 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months. She saved your lives by making those calls. I didn't know how to feel about that. Autumn had helped, yes, but only after destroying everything first. Will I have to testify? Harper asked. Probably not. We have enough evidence without your testimony. The recordings, the guns, the threats. This is an open and shut case. We went back to Patricia's apartment building. Our landlord was waiting in the lobby, having seen the news. Are you both all right? She asked, pulling Harper into a hug. We're okay, I assured her. It's finally over. That night, Harper couldn't sleep. She came to my room at 2 a.m, climbing into bed beside me like she hadn't done since she was small. Mom? Yeah, baby? Are we going to be okay now? Like, really okay? Yes, we're going to be fine. What about Aunt Autumn? What about her? Do you think she's sorry? Really sorry? I thought about it. I think she's sorry she got caught. Whether she's sorry for hurting us, I don't know. Maybe someday. Will you ever forgive her? I don't know that either. Right now, I'm just glad we're safe. Harper was quiet for a moment. I forgive her. Not because she deserves it, but because I don't want to be angry forever. My daughter was wiser than I'd ever be. That's your choice, I said, kissing her forehead. And I'm proud of you for making it. We fell asleep together, finally safe, finally home. 6 months later, life looked completely different. I stood in the doorway of Harper's room, watching her work at her desk. She had a new computer now, a powerful one that Travis had helped her pick out. On the screen were coding tutorials and cybersecurity exercises, legal ones. Mom, can you check this for me? She called, not looking up. I walked over. The screen showed a program she'd written to detect phishing emails. It was sophisticated, far beyond what I understood, But Travis had been sending her weekly challenges and she'd been crushing every single one. "Looks amazing, honey. Travis is going to be impressed." She grinned. "He better be. I spent all weekend on it." Travis had been true to his word. He'd been mentoring Harper for months now, teaching her ethical hacking, cybersecurity principles, digital safety. She'd even started teaching other kids at school about online safety, turning her experiences into something positive. The school had been incredible too. When they'd heard what happened, they'd offered Harper a spot in their gifted STEM program. She was thriving there, finally challenged academically, surrounded by other kids who understood her. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, my coworker, the one I'd borrowed money from and couldn't pay back. "Lunch this week? My treat." We'd rebuilt that friendship slowly. I'd paid her back the $200 as soon as I'd gotten my settlement money. She'd apologized for doubting me, for asking for the money back during my worst moment. We'd both moved forward. I texted back, "Thursday works." The apartment was coming together nicely. We'd decorated it over the past months, making it home. Photos on the walls, plants in the windows, Harper's science fair trophy on the bookshelf. Normal things, happy things. Patricia, our landlord, had become more than just someone we paid rent to. She'd become a friend, a grandmother figure to Harper. She'd been through her own trials in life, and she understood what it meant to rebuild. Every Sunday, we'd have dinner together, the three of us, talking and laughing like family. The doorbell rang. I checked the security camera we'd installed. It was Travis with takeout bags. "Pizza delivery," he announced when I opened the door. "You didn't have to bring food," I said, but I was grateful anyway. I wanted to. Plus, I have news about the victim restitution. We sat at the kitchen table, Harper abandoning her coding to join us. Travis pulled out official-looking papers. "Everyone's been paid back, all 9 victims, including you and me." The court liquidated the cryptocurrency and distributed it based on documented losses. "And Autumn?" I asked. She had to forfeit everything she purchased with the stolen money. The designer bags, the jewelry, all of it was sold. That money went into the restitution fund too. Harper bit into her pizza. What about her sentence? 18 months in prison. 3 years probation after. She's been a model prisoner apparently. Taking classes, going to therapy. Her lawyer thinks she'll get parole at the earliest date. 18 months meant Autumn would be out in a year. The thought made my stomach twist. "Have you talked to her?" Travis asked gently. "No. She sends letters. I haven't opened them. Do you plan to?" "I don't know. Maybe someday. Right now, I'm focused on us, on moving forward." Harper reached over and squeezed my hand. "That's okay, Mom. You don't have to forgive her just because I did." After Travis left, I stood at the kitchen window, looking out at the city lights. So much had changed. I'd gone from complete devastation to stability, from feeling like a victim to feeling like a survivor. The hospital had promoted me after I came back. I was a shift supervisor now, with better pay and better hours. I'd been able to save money again, build back that emergency fund. We were more than okay financially. We were actually comfortable. My phone rang. Unknown number. My first instinct was still fear. But I answered it anyway. "Is this Bessie Reynolds?" "Yes." "This is Amanda Pritchard from the Victim Advocacy Network. We're organizing a support group for people affected by identity theft and financial crimes. Several of the people from your case are involved. We were hoping you might want to participate." A support group, other people who'd been through what I'd been through, who understood the betrayal, the fear, the long process of rebuilding. "I'd like that," I said. The first meeting was the following week. I walked into a church basement to find 8 other people sitting in a circle. I recognized a few faces from police interviews and court proceedings. An older woman stood when she saw me. "Bessie?" "I'm Patricia Ellis. Derek and Autumn stole $40,000 from me 3 years ago. I've been waiting a long time to see them face justice." We hugged, these 2 strangers bound by shared trauma. Others introduced themselves. Marcus, who'd lost his retirement savings. Jennifer, who'd lost her small business. Kevin, who'd lost his college fund. All of us connected by the same criminals. All of us rebuilding our lives. Over coffee and cookies, we shared our stories. The group became a lifeline, a reminder that I wasn't alone. We met every week, supporting each other through the ongoing legal proceedings, the insurance claims, the credit repair process. Patricia Ellis, in particular, became a close friend. She was in her 70s, sharp as a tack, with a dry sense of humor that made even the darkest stories bearable. She'd been mentoring young women in business before Derek and Autumn destroyed her finances. Now she was starting over, and she was determined to help others avoid what happened to her. "We should do something," she said one evening after group. "Educate people about these scams. Help them protect themselves." "Like what?" I asked. "Workshops, community presentations, partner with the police to teach people about identity theft prevention. You could talk about family scams. I could talk about business fraud. We could make a real difference." It started small. A workshop at the local library. 15 people showed up. Then the community center asked us to come speak. Then a school district wanted us to talk to parents. Within 3 months, Patricia and I had created a nonprofit organization, Family First Financial Safety. We taught people how to protect themselves from family members who might steal from them, how to secure their accounts, how to recognize manipulation tactics. Harper helped too, creating a website and social media presence. She made videos about digital safety for kids her age. She was using her experiences, her skills, everything she'd learned to help others. The first time someone came up to me after a presentation and said, "You probably saved me from making a terrible mistake with my brother," I cried. Happy tears this time. The trial finally happened 8 months after the arrests. Derek pled guilty to avoid a longer sentence. He got 8 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for 5. Novak and his associates got 20 years each for the violent crimes and racketeering charges. Autumn's sentencing was separate. Harper and I attended. I don't know why I felt compelled to be there, but I did. Autumn looked different. Thinner, older, her hair pulled back severely. When she saw us, her eyes filled with tears. She mouthed, "I'm sorry," but didn't try to approach us. The judge gave her the plea deal sentence: 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, mandatory restitution, and community service after release. As they led her away, she looked back one more time. I didn't wave. I didn't smile. But I didn't look away either. Outside the courthouse, Harper asked, "Do you think she'll change? Really change?" "I hope so," I said honestly, "for her sake. But it doesn't matter to us anymore. Her journey is her own now." Life settled into a new rhythm. Work, Harper's school activities, our advocacy work, time with friends. Normal, healthy, good. One evening, about a year after everything fell apart, I was making dinner when Harper came running from her room. Mom, look at this." She showed me her laptop. An email from a prestigious university's summer program for gifted students. They'd seen the website Harper built, the work she'd been doing in cybersecurity education, and they wanted to offer her a full scholarship to their coding camp next summer. "Harper, this is incredible." She threw her arms around me. "None of this would have happened if everything hadn't fallen apart. I mean, I wish it hadn't happened the way it did, but I wouldn't have found this passion. I wouldn't have met Travis. I wouldn't have learned I could help people." She was right. From the ashes of betrayal and devastation, we'd both found purpose. That night, after Harper went to bed, I finally opened one of Autumn's letters. Just one. I'd been getting them monthly, storing them in a drawer unopened. The letter was short. "Dear Bessie, I don't expect you to read this. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need to write it anyway. I destroyed the best relationship I had because I was selfish, scared, and stupid. I let a man manipulate me into betraying my sister, the person who sacrificed everything for me. There's no excuse for what I did. Prison is where I belong. Every day here, I think about what I took from you. Not just money, but security, peace, trust. I think about Harper and what I put her through. I think about how I've poisoned our family forever. I'm in therapy now, real therapy, not just going through the motions. I'm learning about my patterns, my choices, why I kept self-destructing. It doesn't undo what I did, but maybe it'll keep me from hurting anyone else. When I get out, I'm moving far away. I won't contact you or Harper unless you reach out first. You deserve a life without me in it. I love you, Bessie. I loved you even when I was destroying you, which makes it all worse. I'm sorry. I'll be sorry for the rest of my life. Autumn. I folded the letter and put it back in the drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday I'd forgive her. But not today. Today was for celebrating how far we'd come. The community center was hosting an event for our nonprofit. 200 people had signed up. Patricia and I had prepared presentations. Harper had set up interactive demonstrations. We were going to spend the day teaching people how to protect themselves. As I stood at the front of the room, looking at all those faces ready to learn, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not just in Harper, though she'd exceeded every expectation. Not just in our nonprofit, though it was making a real difference. Pride in myself. I'd survived betrayal by the person I'd trusted most. I'd protected my daughter through impossible circumstances. I'd rebuilt our lives from nothing. I'd turned trauma into purpose. Harper stood beside me at the front of the room. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "We did it, Mom. We won." "No, baby," I whispered back. "You did it. You saved us." "We saved each other," she corrected. She was right about that too. I started the presentation. "Thank you all for coming today. My name is Bessie Reynolds, and I'm here to tell you about the worst year of my life and how we survived it." The audience leaned forward, ready to listen, ready to learn. And I was ready to teach them, ready to make sure what happened to us didn't happen to anyone else. Because that's what survivors do. We don't just rebuild. We help others build stronger from the start. Later that evening, back home, Harper and I sat on the couch with takeout Chinese food, watching a movie neither of us was really paying attention to. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Always." "Are you happy? Like, really happy? After everything?" I thought about it, really thought about it. A year ago, I'd lost everything. My savings, my home, my car, my job, almost my daughter. I'd been betrayed in the worst possible way by someone I loved. But now, I had a better job. A nicer apartment with a landlord who'd become family, a daughter who was thriving and helping others. Purpose in my advocacy work, real friends who'd stood by me. Financial stability I'd built myself. And most importantly, I had peace. Real peace. Earned through surviving the worst and coming out stronger. "Yes," I said. "I'm really happy." "Me too," Harper said, snuggling against my side. We sat there in comfortable silence, the TV playing in the background, both of us finally, genuinely at peace. I'd learned so much over the past year. That family isn't always blood. That strength comes from surviving, not from never falling. That children are often braver than we give them credit for. That betrayal doesn't have to define you. That you can lose everything and still rebuild something better. Most importantly, I'd learned that love isn't about never giving up on someone. Sometimes love is about knowing when to let go, about protecting yourself and the people who matter most, about setting boundaries and enforcing them. Autumn taught me what I wouldn't accept anymore. Harper taught me what unconditional love really looks like. And I taught myself that I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in forever, I wasn't afraid of it. Whatever came next, Harper and I would face it together. And we'd survive it, just like we'd survived everything else. Because we were survivors. And survivors don't just endure. We thrive. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever had someone you trusted completely betray you? How did you move forward? How did you rebuild trust, not just in others, but in yourself? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's going through their own betrayal right now. And if this story resonated with you, if it gave you hope, or made you think about your own relationships differently, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories of survival and resilience. Share this with someone who might need to hear it, someone who's struggling with their own family betrayal or financial crisis. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope you take away the message that no matter how dark things get, no matter how completely your world falls apart, you have the strength to rebuild. You have the power to not just survive, but to create something better than what you lost. Stay strong, protect your peace, and remember, family is who shows up for you, not who shares your blood. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.